Okay, so I've been doing track days and time attack on and off for about 20 years now. In that time frame, I've been to 18 unique road courses. I've seen lots of tier lists, but never one ranking road courses. And while I can't speak on all of the many tracks in the United States, I have done most of the tracks within 10 hours of my home state of Ohio. And I figured this might be useful to those that are looking to have the most fun with their track day dollars. I'm not a racer at all, so these ratings are based upon my doing at least one track day or time attack event at the tracks in question, and I have no insight into how these tracks are to race wheel to wheel on. So, having said all that, let's get started. I'm going to go in alphabetical order. First off is a track I did a Grid Life Sunday Cup event at last year, Atlanta Motorsports Park. This is a fun destination track that is truly unique. It has insane elevation changes, has a beautiful landscape, and is a great facility. I highly recommend it, and I'm going to rate it a B. As you can see, I'm going to be very tough with these ratings. So next up is a country club track, this one being Autobahn. This place was built for the rich elite of Chicago area, and the facility is very cool and state-of-the-art. First off, it's in the middle of an industrial zone near the city of Chicago and is the last place on earth you expect to find a racetrack. The track is extremely long, it's really flat, but it has plenty of turns. It's very safe and definitely a place worth visiting at least once. However, in the grand scheme of things, I'm going to give it a C, mainly because of how long it is, and while it's very safe and a great place to practice and hone your craft at, so I definitely think it's a place worth going to. So from what I was told, Autobahn and this track, Carolina Motorsports Park, and the next track, Gingerman, were all designed by the same guy, and you can definitely tell. Thus, they are all three very similar. They are flat with lots of long sweeping turns and tons of runoff. This is the track where Are You Faster Than a Redneck was filmed, if you happen to remember that show. The paddock itself has virtually no concrete for you to park on, so expect to have a ton of sand in your car for at least a month after an event here. It's a very worthwhile track that I would rate a C. Finally, the third track by the same designer. All three are about the same level as fun, but this one is Gingerman. I'm going to rate it a bit higher just because of the importance it has to everything Grid Life. This is where Honda Meet is held, Midwest Fest, where they got their start, everything like that. So it's just iconic in the grand scheme of things for Grid Life. The track itself is right nearby a great lakefront area. It's beautiful scenery all the way around. It's just completely chill. Your time at this track is a badge of honor. If you have a fast car and you can run under a 140, you're the man, etc. This is a must-visit destination that I definitely give a B. Okay, so next up here is Gateway International Raceway. It's been a long time since I've been here. I don't even know if it's still in operation. I remember it being a very cool track because it was a NASCAR track, but it just had like a flat infield section. Overall, it was pretty blah, but the steep banking oval of the track made it fun and unique. You definitely, one point in your life, get to a NASCAR track where you can feel like you're racing sideways at the highest speed as you can just hammer down and get as fast as you can and just feel the grip of that. It's definitely something to do once in your life, but I would still give it an F, as there's much better tracks on this list, and just the flat infield sections of this kind of tracks are just really boring. How it's another track I haven't been to in probably about 20 years. I don't feel it's really fair to rank this track, but I have done a single track day there, so out of fairness, I will rank it, but I'm going to give it a D. From what I remember, it was fun and had some cool elevation changes, but I've definitely been to better tracks since then. Next one here is a track that I'm going to try not to be biased on. This is Mid-Ohio. Basically where I spent my 20s and 30s watching racing. I've done the racing school there and spent more time at this track than anywhere other than Nelson Ledges. It needs repaved desperately. It's a death trap in the rain, but God, is it fun, iconic, historic, and memorable. It is absolutely an S tier and deserves to be bigger. There we go. NCM was my favorite track for a long time until I got to try out some better ones. There's so many turns here. It loops in on itself so many times. It has great elevation and is literally located at the National Corvette Museum, which is a great place to visit. This is a place you have to try out. The sinkhole is really fun, and I would say it's an A tier. So Nelson Ledges, this is a track where I've done about 30 plus track days at. I've totaled a Prelude here, and I learned to conquer the fear that comes after a horrible wreck where you total your Prelude at this track as well. It's super fast, super fun, completely chill. It's basically like if your uncle had a farm with some land on it and just went completely nuts with some asphalt. The tires themselves are a ramp, not a wall, and you will flip if you hit them. Ask me how I know. However, it has been repaved recently. So seriously, Mid-Ohio, Nelson Ledges got repaved before you did. It's an iconic, historic piece of racing history where your average speed is 90 plus miles an hour, and that's even in a 175 horsepower Prelude. I'd give it a C, but in my heart it will always be an S. And because it's Ohio, make it bigger. Okay, next one is Pit Race. This is a track I've been going to since when it was Beaver Run. Beaver Run was a rinky-dink, like I guess I'll go there if there's something going on kind of track that transformed itself into one of the most fun tracks in the Midwest. It has a huge corkscrew-like drop and the rhythm section. Rhythm section I think is one of the most fun portions of any track that I've been to. I love this track and definitely give it a B. Next one is Putnam Park. I would put this in the same category as like CMP, Autobahn, Gingerman. Overall it's pretty fun and it's worth a trip, but ultimately it's flat and nothing spectacular. I just don't remember it being all that memorable and giving it a D. Alright, so now on to a truly iconic and one of the most beautiful tracks in the country. This is Road Atlanta. I was unaware that it's called Michelin Raceway now. I truly love this track, and it showed me just how majestic a race course can be. It's carved out of a forest. It's an absolute icon, and going down the final hill is a butt-puckering experience that everyone should have at least once. Truly an S. Okay, next one is Summit Point. So Summit Point is a must-visit location, and I recommend trying to find an event that's on a 3-day weekend where you can hit up each track. So there are 3 completely different tracks there, not variations of the same track, but 3 utterly separate tracks that are within walking distance of each other. The first one I'll go into is Jefferson. Jefferson's fun, easy track in the vein of Nelson Ledges or Waterford. Did I give a D? I really like this track, but it's nothing ultimately special. Shenandoah is something special, but at the end of the day, it's just too much. Has a ton of unique elements. It's like they tried to take turns from every track in the world, I guess. I don't know. But there's a ski jump there where you can get some air if you want. There's a bowl like the Nürburgring where you can dive in and feel like you're driving sideways on a wall through an entire turn. But ultimately the general consensus of this track is it's just too much and none of it flows together. I think because of this, it's still a track that everyone should try at least once, but I would give it a D. Summit Point proper is a track that I truly love. As a front-wheel drive enthusiast, I think it's a great track for the wrong-wheel drive cars. It's also in the middle of a bunch of tall, majestic trees, making it very scenic and nice to drive in. It has a rich history and is one of my favorite tracks, and I give it an A. So now on to VIR. This is my current favorite track. I've been there twice for Hyperfest. The track itself is absolutely gorgeous. It has so many fun elements like the uphill S's and the whole roller coaster hog pen section. Not to mention the overall atmosphere being at such a lovely track. This is an S all day long. Okay, now we have Waterford Hills. Call this one a hidden gem. It's the definition of a podunk, small, almost go-kart like track. It's in the middle of a battle with a bunch of stupid people who built their house next to a racetrack and complained about it. So sound is a huge deal there, and you will get booted if you're too loud. There's also a gun range that's basically on the track, so the whole time I was there I was thinking something was wrong with my car, but it turned out it was just folks popping off rounds off of turn 9. It's a cheap and extremely fun track. Tracks like Waterford and Nelson Ledges are so much fun, just laid back and worth their cheap price of entry. I love these kind of tracks and give it a C. Okay, finally is Watkins Glen. This is the most iconic track I've been on. To just be out there where Formula One used to race and NASCAR still does, and to see the great facilities, the seating, and the atmosphere being somewhere so special. The track is extremely fun and scary as hell in the rain, not necessarily because of the lack of grip, but mainly because it's surrounded by walls, and said walls do not have tires on them. It's a place you must experience at least once in life and is definitely an S. So that is it. Again, these are my opinions, and some of them are based on just one day, and some of those days were 15 plus years ago, so take that for what you will. But yeah, that is how I rate the 18 different tracks that I've been to in my 20 years of doing track days. So yeah, there you go.